¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. It is Monday, right? Yes, it is. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Heat, Conscious Canuck, Michael Hassler, Judgment Free Zone, Yalla King, Alio. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Sorry about that delay, folks. Whew. All right. We have a few things to cover. Let's go indeed. Afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Did we all have a good weekend? I certainly hope so. It's the Chud Spud. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I remember you. You're good. Welcome, 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 everybody. Sorry about that. On Friday, we had quite the debacle. Also, yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel. So, I guess I should start by just kind of doing a quick recap as to what happened. I'm just here for the gay space communism. Where is it at? It's right here. You're missing out. All right. Is everybody? Can everybody see me okay? Hear me okay? Everything good? All right. Is everybody? Whoa. Just making sure everything's good. Check and check. All right, so that's good enough for me. All right. So I guess I should start by kind of just going over what happened Friday. So right as I was starting stream, the sky started getting really dark, and like I know I made a mention, like I made a comment, like, "Oh man, the sky's getting real dark. It looks pretty freaking bad, folks." And like not that much longer after that, the power died. And for some reason, instead of my computer deciding to continue to run off battery, it just went to hibernation. I couldn't get it back on. And then it came back and then it died again. And I was like, all right, I'm just done. So fast forward to the next day and we wake up to absolutely no power. And so we're thinking like, okay, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. We figured, all right, well, the power is going to probably be back on in a few. It wasn't off yesterday, or at least it didn't stay off for very long. So we figured it was just going to be a quick fix, and we'll be back. Fast forward a few hours from there. Okay, well, obviously, something went down because we still don't have power. We checked with the, power company and whatnot, and apparently thousands of people were out of power. And then fast forward hours, because the whole day we spent without power. We spent the whole day without power, and then we found out that apparently two tornadoes came through, an F0 and an F1 tornado. So that's what happened. Like I walked down the street, or I drove down the street, and there was a big like tree that was on the power line. So that's probably what caused the delay, because like I'm pretty sure that they cut off the power. I'm pretty sure that they cut off the power to kind of like work on everything, but man, that took a long time. Eventually, I think it was yesterday. Finally we have power. Whenever I posted it, I can't remember. So essentially, yeah, that's what happened this entire weekend. Stay safe. Yeah, we're fine. It was just wild. I did have a generator, but that generator was keeping the food. That generator was keeping the food alive. My battery backup to the Wi-Fi and to the computer only lasts so long, and for some reason my computer, because it was off power, it just went into hibernation mode at that point. So I don't know like why, because I tested it out when the power was on for a moment, and it seemed to work fine. I took it out of the cable, of the charging cable, and it was fine. So I don't know why I decided to do that, but nonetheless, it is what it is. So now I know. We got ourselves an extra generator to help the portable AC unit, and we should be okay for next time. Yeah, the home, everything is fine. We got super lucky, but a lot of people didn't, that were south of us, I want to say. Yeah. It was pretty bad in some areas, and yeah. It was pretty hot, but thankfully, because we have like trees around, we were able to kind of like manage. We were able to manage, and there was other places that had power, so we kind of just like hanged out in other places while like all this was going on. So all in all, we got out of it pretty unscathed. Did you see that Ben Shapiro did an hour video about the Barbie movie? Of course. Of course. This should be to the surprise of nobody. I mean, like, was it because, let me guess. I mean, like, I don't know why anybody would even spend watching an hour of Ben Shapiro, let alone an hour of Ben Shapiro talking about Barbie. But let me guess. Barbie is feminist propaganda, and it's woke, and that's why you shouldn't watch it or something. Did I get that right? U.S. President Biden would veto Republican-backed defense, health, and agriculture spending bills if he were presented with them, the White House said. Speaker McCarthy was backing away from spending levels agreed to at that ceiling level. McCarthy and House Republicans are pushing cuts that the Biden administration could not accept, and the White House said in a statement on Monday. That's going to be another fight. Come on, Barbie. Let's go, Barbie. Yes, I know the song. Yes, I know the song. Classic. Did they play it? They had to have played the song in the movie, right? I mean, like, I can't imagine that they would not play the song in the movie. When I hear that song in my head, I think of Canute and Arnold. So obviously we need to get to the real news. Twitter changed its logo and it's now called X. It's all deployed right now. So I guess we should start. The right-wing pundits cannot tolerate the woke society. Yeah, but like I don't even know what's woke about Barbie. All right, it's a story that's based off a character that is not real. It's a Barbie doll. Okay? That's what it's based off. It's based off a universe, a fictitious universe from a Barbie doll. Ha! I caught that reference, Michael. Twitter is now X. Yeah, I know. It literally just happened because I just refreshed a page and now I see the new logo. Because I need to display a clip, and it's now X. I did survive the weekend. Yes, we did. We survived the weekend. Everything is fine, and hopefully next time, it won't be like SpaceX. Yeah, but like not, or X, like like Elon's X. Maybe that's what he named the site after. No, he's been trying to do this. He's been trying to do this weird X branding since PayPal. He's been trying to do this since PayPal. And of course, when investors or board members were involved, they immediately shot it down. But since he has no checks, but since he has no checks, it's Twitter is completely his. Twitter is completely his. So of course he has no one but yes men and sycophants to go along with it. Adult jokes, but it's PG-13. All kid movies have adult parts because they watch with their kids. Don't they think do they think that SpongeBob is for kids? No, it's probably not. I'm pretty sure that like all these cartoons have some kind of like you know, other jokes that obviously the kids aren't meant to understand, and they don't. It just goes right over their heads. I know because, and this is true, I used to be a kid once, and like now obviously as an adult I'm like, oh, I get it. Anyway, so is that what the Ben Shapiro thing is? He's just complaining about how like Barbie's woke or feminist propaganda. I mean, like to the people, because there are right wingers who are calling Barbie like woke garbage or whatever, because feminism or something. I don't understand. I didn't watch the movie, but it's really funny because like, what about the go woke go broke crowd? Barbie just blew it out of the fucking water. The Bugs Bunny stuff was racy back in the day. The Department of Justice on Monday sued the state, Texas Governor Abbott over the floating barriers. Yeah, and they decided that that they're just not going to listen to the federal government. Don't made me want to see the movie even more. Barbie has always been working and always been closing. Don't forget Pepe Le Pew. Pepe, Pepe was something else. I saw a poster said that she's everything, he's just Ken. Too scary for conservatives. Thinking Sabercat, how's it going? Whoa!
So my...
There are more of us than there are of them because I actually think most people...
Make way!
Alright. Can I show this? I don't know. How do I make this, Okay. I mean, it's not really like a big deal, but just in case, I'll just kind of like describe it to you. It's actually pretty freaking funny. It's a YouTube short, so obviously it doesn't violate like TOS or YouTube TOS, because it's on YouTube. But here, I'll post a link for you guys if you guys want to check it out. Just in case, it's a pretty freaking funny YouTube short. Here, I'll post it. I'll post it. You guys can save that. As long as Barbie beats The Sound of Freedom, I'm good. Barbie blew it out of the water. I even forgot about The Sound of Freedom. Alio with the 11 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you have to ask, true. Has been totally banned from Trump meetings, but professional douches trolling a lot more, especially with the Trump trials. All right. Let's get some of this done because I have limited time and I already started way late. I already started way too late. Alright. And I don't have that much time. No idea about The Sound of Freedom, but there's one about COVID and this big church in Cali. Really? I didn't even know. That's probably how bad the biddies are. I mean, the biddies. I'm looking at the freaking thing. Sorry. That's how bad the movie is that I've completely forgot about it. Judgment Free Zone with the 500 biddies. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Whew. All right. Let's get started, folks, because I've got a lot. I have limited time and a lot to go through. Let's go. You guys are being extra generous. Thank you guys so much for the support. And you earned yourself a 1K biddy badge. Look at that. All right. Eyes and ears open and listening. I mean, honestly, you could probably get away with listening if you can't watch. So I decided to check out Ben Shapiro's page. Yeah. Ben Shapiro destroys the Barbie movie for 43 minutes. Destroys! Barbie movie destroyed, folks. All right. Ben Shapiro decided to talk about Barbie for 43 minutes, or close to 43 minutes anyways. So now consider the Barbie movie destroyed. All right. Good job. Of course, Barbie, here's an actual, like, episode. Barbie's garbage, but you're not allowed to say so. What? What is this? What are you talking about? You're not allowed to say that you don't like a movie? Or that you're not allowed to say that... It's a fucking opinion, bro. It's a fucking opinion on a movie about a fucking doll. Holy yikes, man. The right wing is really just lost. They're just lost. They're just lost. The movie has been big, but some people are calling foul, like real red letter media, and people are buying up tickets for Sound of Freedom but not turning up as it's some nonsense. Nonsense from Steve Bannon trying to get the $5 million movie at the Academy Awards. Yeah, but like the Sound of Freedom, I think it's like the dude who starred in the Sound of Freedom, or one of the main actors, is like some wild QAnon person. Like the whole thing is like kind of weird from what I understand, but whatever. That's the point. That's neither here nor there. Like, bro, what do you mean you're not allowed to say that Barbie is not good? Or that you can't say that Barbie is garbage. It's a fucking movie about about a doll, dude. Oh my god. This guy. You should go see Oppenheimer movie. That looks really interesting. The Oppenheimer movie is also made it I think number 2. The Oppenheimer movie also blew it out of the water. This weekend, I think. Average Americans, not cult members, are getting tired of it. Yeah, like by the way, like all of this, like this kind of like nonsense, it's only like online stuff. Okay. Like the numbers are pretty clear. Republicans or conservatives who tried to run on this, like anti-woke or you know, all this like anti-woke culture war nonsense, they lose. They lose. People just don't care. That's Beauty blew it out of the water. Oh, nuclear. Okay, no, I didn't mean it in a literal sense. Okay, I didn't mean it like with the pun. I'm talking about like box office numbers. Oppenheimer did pretty freaking good. So yes, Christine. Hi. It looks very interesting. I'm cracking up. I know it's funny. I know I didn't mean it, but I guess pun unintended. No, it's not a nuke joke. It's not a nuke joke. It was completely by accident. What is this? Am I going to be able to see it? No, we can go over this if we have time. Whispers for best movie this year? What? This is July. This year isn't even over. Sisu so far? Oh, I know this. I remember seeing this trailer. It was made for $3 million and had the best plot in years. Well, like the year isn't over. But yeah, it's this dude who's like what, hunting Nazis? Anyways. Alright, good memes. Good memes, Ben. Nobody gives a fuck. Alright. So the DeSantis campaign has decided, and like this can't be a freaking accident, okay? I'm sorry. Like there's enough too many freaking little oopsies to not like ignore this. It's like a spaghetti western made in Finland with Nazis. A spaghetti western. Huh. That's interesting. So too many mistakes. Too many mistakes. Too many little oopsies. Keep piling up for this to be ignored at this point. The sad part is I know people who go to that church and that I looked up to at one point in my life. Yikes. Right? If it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck. Right. So this video was retweeted by the DeSantis campaign, to which they immediately decided to delete it for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons. But the internet is forever, okay? And like you can't just do that without people noticing. This is the final like screenshot of what the video, the campaign video was. So just to be clear, the DeSantis campaign did not make the video, but they retweeted it and boosted it. So if you don't know what this is this is this is pretty freaking explicit Nazi shit. That's the Nazi flag from 4chan. Is that from 4chan? Because I mean, I thought the black sun was pretty just like ubiquitous. The black sun is like pretty ubiquitous. Like it's, I mean, you can't really tell me that that's not the fucking, oh shit, I just closed it. Hold on. Like this is about as explicit as it gets. Okay? And like the DeSantis campaign is fucking like retweeting this shit. Come on. After like, so these are compounding things that keep adding up. That like you just can't freaking ignore at this point. We had that other that video. That video that I think DeSantis War Room tweeted, which is pretty friggin' homophobic. We have Nazis parading in Orlando in front of Disney, showing support for DeSantis. Nazis parading in, was it at the capital of Florida, or was it also in Orlando that they were parading that they were parading for DeSantis, and like till this day we have yet to hear DeSantis say anything about it. Are they trying to say that Democrats and SJWs are like Nazis, or that DeSantis is going to lead America, the people to glory, that they're using the black sun as a positive symbol? No, this is explicitly like, this is explicitly fascistic imagery. They're doing this on purpose. I mean, it's just like, it's really hard to ignore at this point. I mean, you could watch the video. The full video is right here.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you wanna feel how it feels? Do you wanna know that it doesn't hurt me? Do you wanna hear about the deal I'm making? It's you and me. And if I only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get in to swap out places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. Say if I only could.
That's 4chan? I mean, like, this is literally like 4chan posting. It's indistinguishable. Using a Kate Bush song like that is just wrong. True!
You don't wanna hurt me, but see how deep the bullet lies.
Yeah, I mean, like, it really, like, you can't really hide from that one. Yeah. 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 I mean, like, there's just no excuse. You, like, the people, the DeSantis campaign didn't watch it and just hit retweet and be like, yeah, nah. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. Sorry. They knew what they were doing. This was not a mistake. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were retweeting. There's a reason why fucking Nazis were parading around, waving around his flag, and the swastikas in Orlando. It's just as explicit as it gets. All right. Just so that we're clear as to what's going on here in Florida. Here's like the silver lining. DeSantis is not going to win the primary. DeSantis is not going to win the primary. Even for people who don't know what the black sun is, it looks kind of fashy. Yeah, it literally looks like a 4chan post. I mean, like, you know, me, because I've like seen this and I've been around, I can pretty much like understand what's going on over here, but like, this is literally indistinguishable from a 4chan post. I mean, like, this is how they make posts in 4chan. Not this time. DeSantis is still young. Yeah. I guess we'll see what happens in 2028. The only thing that I can hope for is that the primary gets so like bloody that DeSantis just gets like so torpedoed and out of the water that he just like doesn't run, or like his career just kind of like, that's it. That's the beginning and end of his career right there. And that all that happens is that he, you know, ends his tenureship at Florida, and that's it. He's got so little charisma. Like, yes, thank goodness. Has he even made the amount to debate? I don't know. But I mean, I assume he does. Isn't he like second place? Even if he's like far behind, he's still what, 20 points? Right? He's like at 30 something. 30 something percent, right? Or is that Trump? I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Hold on. I think he does have enough to debate, right? DeSantis poll numbers. Trump said he won't participate in any of the primary debates. That's good. I think I heard that DeSantis is now tied with Vivek. Oh, what? Oh, wait. Oh my goodness. Oh man. There was one poll with that. Okay. Governor DeSantis is trailing behind President Trump, blah, 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 blah. According to a new poll, it's almost half of South Carolina is likely Republican voters to choose Trump. Lagging far behind, Haley has 14, DeSantis has 13, and South Carolina's Tim Scott has 10. Oh, but this is in South Carolina? DeSantis and Ramshremi are tied for second. A lot of other polls have Ramshremi down number 6 with Nikki Haley. So we can still, okay, well, either way, it doesn't matter because like at the end of the day, they're like double digits behind Trump. They're like double digits or less or more behind Trump. I mean, like at this point in time, I think it's pretty safe to say that Trump is just going to win the primary. It's just how much damage is this going to do to DeSantis? All right, we got to shift gears here, folks. Let's talk about this.
And what's up with these 4 cops back here?
Well, they're trying to intimidate us. They don't like us sharing food in front of the library.
A volunteer group in Houston, Texas have been repeatedly fined and harassed by the police for...
There's also word that Liz Cheney might be running with Mitt Romney to screw things up. Oh, man. Liz Cheney is hated by the Republican base. Yeah, I don't think she's going to run. Liz Cheney decided to like do like one thing at the one thing at the last second, and that's just like acknowledge the results of an election, and like these people couldn't take it, so she was like excommunicated basically by the Republican Party and the base. So I don't even know if she really wants to run as a Republican. I don't think she will. Nah, she's done. DeSantis, yeah, Dylan Mulvaney did pull higher than DeSantis. I saw that.
For feeding the homeless on public property. So, in this video, I will show you a couple of clips they put out on TikTok. I will also get to a news report that covered this about a month ago, and then I will get to the obvious solution here. First, let me show you one of the first videos I saw that they put out. This is back in early June, and you'll see the whole situation.
So I'll see you tomorrow. Probably you too, huh? See you guys in the morning. All right, thank you.
Okay. Can you explain to us what just happened?
I just got my 11th ticket for feeding the homeless, and this is number 30 for Food Not Bombs.
Cool. We're in front of the public library, which says that
Food Not Bombs? Damn, they're like really trying to like harass people just trying to feed the homeless? So the story behind Food Not Bombs is that they were distributing food to the poor across the street from a building, which they were designing nuclear weapons across that street. That group has been around for 50 or more years. Yeah. I'm reading about it right now. They have some kind of reasoning for us. I can't remember what. Either way, it's probably BS. Yeah, 100%. Like, all they do is take, like, food, like, donated food, and food that was going to be thrown out anyways. They take food that was donated and going to be thrown out anyways, and they hand it out to the homeless. That's been their modus operandi since the beginning. So, yeah. Michael Richards, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I think if Trump taps out, the corporate Republicans will be looking for the opposite to Trump. Nah, I don't think so.
That we don't have the right to, be here. And, we're conducting a food service event without the consent of the property owner, and it says, in parentheses, feed homeless. A specialty law that is being enforced specifically just on us. It's wonderful. So we will continue to protest until there's change.
Getting ticketed for feeding the homeless.
It's like the same issue with like some dude who got like a violation for giving like homeless people haircuts for free. Like, bro, are you serious?
This should be the job of the city. This should be the job of society, to ensure people are fed and housed. Because that's not being done, it falls onto volunteers like this group. This group is called Food Not Bombs in Houston, Texas. It falls onto them, and even though they are picking up the slack that the city has left off, they are getting fined for doing so. Now, I'm going to get to another video, a more recent one, but before I get there, there are countless ridiculous laws in the books. I mean, you can look up your own city. I'm sure there are some stupid laws that are not enforced by the police because they're stupid. In Houston, Texas, here's one from the Houston Chronicle here. Relax, as they point out, because law enforcement, of course, are not going to enforce this. No law enforcement is waiting by the cheese aisle to enforce this old law prohibiting the sale or purchase of Limburger cheese on Sundays. But it still stands.
Yeah, apparently you can't buy this Limburger cheese on Sundays? Okay.
There's a law that you can't buy this cheese on Sundays. Are the police waiting in the cheese aisles to arrest people for buying this cheese? No. Yet this stupid law is being enforced. Now, to be clear, this is not an old law. This is something that the mayor, as you're going to see from the report I'm going to get to, the mayor has recently instituted this and really is targeting this group specifically because they were out in front of the library. Even though they are only operating, they're only feeding the homeless after the library is closed. So even if you want to argue, well, it's creating all this these crowds in front of the library, it's not a problem because it's after hours. But let me first get to a more recent video from this group that they put out 4 days ago.
Hey, so Alan, what are we doing here today?
Well, today we are sharing food with friends that we have donated and gathered from people who were donating to us.
And what's up with these 4 cops back here?
Well, they're trying to intimidate us. They don't like us sharing food in front of the library.
On average, we feed over 100 people, and they just sit out here and stare at us for the whole hour it takes to assemble the food that we make for the community and public, and then they ticket us.
How ridiculous is this? You have 4 cops sitting outside watching this group feed the homeless for hours just so they can then go.
Yeah, and like it's so annoying because like you can't take food that's being thrown away from the grocery stores. You can't feed the homeless in a public area. So what the fuck? Yeah, it's stupid waste. There are people who could eat this. There's actually a law in the UK books, no minced pies on Christmas Day. It dates back to the rule of Oliver Cromwell. Oh, man. So yeah, you can't feed the homeless on public property. You can't like, or grocery stores can't donate food. Past like I forget what the rule is, but for like health reasons, they can't donate like food that's gonna be thrown out. Like, so then what the fuck are you supposed to do? These groups, or this group in particular, literally specializes in gathering all this food and at least trying to give it to the homeless. Their excuse is that it will open them up to a lawsuit. Who? The library? Welcome, Mesocat. Like the library? How? It's after hours. Someone had to call those cops, I bet. Maybe they would care, but in reality, I bet somebody called and complained. Probably. Oh, oh, yeah, okay. The food, like, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because waste is a necessary part of capitalism to prop up price gouging. There you go.
Afterwards and ticket them for doing so. Let's say you don't care about feeding the homeless. You don't care if they starve. You're a terrible person, but let's say you don't care. How about the waste of city resources? How about the waste of these officers' time? Standing there, waiting for 4 hours to ticket a bunch of volunteers feeding the homeless. What is the logical argument for doing this? So I'm going to get to the report from ABC 13 in Houston, then I'll get to what one of the clear solutions to all of this, to this problem is. But first, one last note on how the police target certain laws or certain individuals. You don't even need to go to ridiculous laws like what I showed you earlier with the cheese. Just think of traffic tickets.
Yeah, they're talking about food, not bombs.
Speed all the time. But police decide what is excessive. Police decide who to target, where to implement, where to institute, or where to enforce various laws. This is another example of these people clearly not hurting anybody. There's nothing wrong being done here. You're feeding the homeless, and it isn't that bad. Like, you realize it isn't that bad because they're not shutting it down. They're not going there and stopping them from doing this. So they realize this is not having any serious effect, because if it was having some kind of negative effect on society, they would be preventing them from doing so. They would be stopping the entire thing. They'd be shutting it all down. They'd be taking away the boxes. But instead, they're just waiting there to then find them. So clearly the officers themselves know this isn't a big deal. But here you have a massive waste of resources, and on top of course, just how immoral the entire thing is.
Right, that's true, Alio. There's a lot of like laws that that's just so wasteful. Why the fuck am I always seeing the food's not bombs being harassed by cops? Because they're trying to feed the homeless, and I guess that's like really bad. I guess that's a huge no-no. You can't feed the homeless, guys. Sorry, not under this system.
But let me get to ABC 13 Houston. This is part of their report on this whole thing that gives you some more details.
Meet your next pillow.
Whoa.
The volunteer group Food Not Bombs is outside the Houston Public Library on McKinney in downtown, across from City Hall, feeding the homeless. But over the last 3 months, they've been in a standoff with the city. Back in 2012, under former Mayor Anise Parker, an ordinance was enacted that...
Yeah, and like, it's not like it's not like it's not like the local government is doing anything about it. The local government isn't setting up like Alia said, soup kitchens. The government isn't even like trying to facilitate the situation. They're just fining people for trying to feed the homeless. It's socialism. Just leave the food, not bombs alone. Yep. I volunteered at the soup kitchen for 2 years. Nice.
that required groups to get written permission from a property owner to conduct a food service event on the premise. That was not being enforced against Food Not Bombs until 3 months ago. Cherie Dorr, a volunteer.
Here's a question. If it's on public property, who do you ask permission for? The government? Like, I would understand if it's like private, like a private business, you're in front of a private business or something, like maybe. But like, what do you do with like a public space? I worked with them when I was young, like 20 years ago, and the pigs did the same shit. Food Not Bombs groups are generally left-leaning, so I wouldn't be surprised if that factored into this. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, bro, they're just feeding the homeless. That's it.
Says she's not heard of any other groups that are being cited currently.
The mayor is saying that he's going to continue this process because he wants to take back the public library. We don't serve until 7:30, and this library is already closed by then.
In a statement, the city of Houston says, quote, recently there has been an increase in the number of threats and violent incidents directed at visitors and employees coming to the Houston Public Library downtown. Parents and families have expressed no...
Wait. Parents and families have expressed not being able to like go to the library. Wait a minute. How is that possible if it's being done after hours? Make it make sense. How is that possible if it's being done after hours? Yeah, bullshit.
no longer feeling comfortable visiting the library or holding special events. The city asked the group to hold their distributions at a Houston police building on the other side of Interstate 45.
For him to push that information about the homeless in the library, it's not fair, and it adds a stereotype that we just do not like.
I call BS. This idea that, that people are getting harassed, they can't go to the library. The library is closed. Let me take a guess here at what I think the problem is from the city's perspective. They don't want a bunch of homeless people standing outside City Hall. That's what the problem is. It gives off this fact, this reality that the city, that the mayor is not properly dealing with the homeless problem they have there by them being right in front of City Hall, and they don't want that image.
Well, too freaking bad. If you don't like it, then do something about it. For fuck's sake. If you don't like it, then do something about it. Help these people. Help them. Give them the resources that they need. Yeah, the police station, because everyone trusts the police. Exactly. Yeah, like, why don't you do it in front of the police station? I couldn't get to the return box. There are people sitting in it making soup.
In front of the mayor's office. I think that's what this is completely about, because you can't say it's the library when the library is closed. It's about City Hall. Not to mention, it's because of City Hall. I'm sure there are, again, from the city's perspective, there are police everywhere. It's City Hall. So if there was, I don't know, harassing, threats, or whatever the hell going on, the police would be there to deal.
Right, like you saw the videos. I know they're clips. I know that they're just like clips, but we saw the video. Like the cops were just standing there. The cops were just standing there. They weren't. They weren't doing anything. If it was true that there was like a lot of harassment or like, you know, threats of violence or whatever the bullshit excuse was, there were cops right there. And in the small segments that we saw, they were just standing there, and both of the people from different perspectives. I don't know if it's like the same day. Both of them like confirmed, like they just sit there. They just sit there and wait. Guarantee you, the people wouldn't come to the police station. That's a good point. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. Soup lines are the most innocuous thing ever. Yeah, you're just feeding people. That's it. It's now illegal in Houston to feed more than 5 homeless people. And this is the same area. I have a hard time imagining their local government cared about the library before they could use it as an excuse to hurt homeless people. True. This nonsense is a waste of resources. True.
Deal with that. Again, I'm not saying that's the solution, but from the city's perspective, that's what they would be doing. But so that can't be the problem either, because they would have the police there dealing with that. The issue is they don't want the image of homeless people outside City Hall. That's what the problem is here. It's very clear. Now, let me get to what I think the obvious solution, at least part of the solution to all of this is. And we've seen this implemented in several places. I'll get to some of those examples. But housing. House the homeless. That's it. It not only is the right thing to do, but it also, if this is what your concern is, it also saves money. So one example here from McGill, Housing First strategy proves cost effective, especially for the most vulnerable homeless group. So housing homeless people with severe mental illness is even more cost effective than housing people with moderate needs. And by the way, they're both cost effective, but more details here. Canadians spend, so this is a Canadian report, just to be clear, Canadians spend big money dealing with the consequences of homelessness, but the money spent could be far more effective. According to a new McGill-led analysis, housing homeless people with severe mental illness is even more cost effective than housing homeless people with moderate.
Yeah, and like we know that this works because there's been several pilot programs in other countries that have worked. We know this because there have been housing first programs that have been tried and proven effective in other places. So this is not a shocker here. This is not surprising at all. Here are the names of the council members who supported the ordinance, including Mayor Anise Parker herself, along with Ellen Cohen, Wanda Adams, Ed Gonzalez, and Melissa Noriega. Opponents of the council include Al Huang, C.O. Bradford, Jack Christie, and Helena Brown. 500 fines each time. Minimum basic income would work also. Yes, but I feel like it's just like extra steps when you could just go to the root of the problem. Person doesn't have house. House them. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, like, I'm not knocking the idea of like a minimum basic income, or another way of putting it, a UBI. Depending on how it's deployed. I mean, I guess in this, the fact that we have to work in this framework that is currently in existence, it is plausible. But yeah, I would argue that just do a housing first policy. We've seen this play out in pilot programs, and it works. Really, I'd say it's anti-Christian. I mean, yes, Jesus would not stand for this. Jesus would be with the assembly line getting the food ready. That's what Jesus would be doing.
Needs. A housing first strategy aimed at helping these individuals regain and keep permanent housing generates savings equal to about 2/3 of its cost. Housing first is an approach to addressing homelessness that centers on moving people into housing immediately and then providing additional services and supports as needed. While previous research has shown that housing first is an effective way to get homeless people's housing and help them keep it, this study published in Psychiatric Services provides the largest evaluation of cost effectiveness of the housing first approach for homeless individuals with severe mental illness. In Canada, the annual cost to society for persons struggling with both homelessness and severe mental illnesses are high, about $75,000 per year, compared to about $51,000 for homeless people with moderate needs. These costs are often related to health services, emergency shelters, and policing. So this is just one study, one example, but we can how many times, how many issues, how many studies do I have to show where we know what the solutions are, but the political will to actually implement any of the solutions that we know are going to work is not there. And again, this isn't just studies. We have examples of this working. How Finland managed to virtually
beat you to it, David. Here you go. Here's the outcomes of the same study from 2008 all the way up to recently. Here are the outcomes. 4 out of 5 homeless individuals are able to keep their apartment for the long term, allowing them to lead a more stable life. 4,600 homes have been provided in 10 years, and by 2017, there was enough shelter for all members of the population to sleep indoors. The state now spends 15,000 euros less per homeless person each year as a result of less emergency situations that follow assault, injuries, breakdowns, so on and so forth. Finland is now represents the only country in the EU where homelessness is declining. So this is the thing that he's citing. I just put an audience that people or corporations that own more than 5 houses have to pay the value of each house in the yearly taxation. There's Russian oligarchs buying whole streets in London and Paris to hide their wealth outside of Russia.
End homelessness. Given a place to live, Finland's homeless were better able to deal with addictions and other problems, not to mention handling job applications. So, a whole piece on Finland here. Again, I linked to all my sources below the video in case you want to go any deeper into any of these pieces. But from In These Times, doesn't housing everyone seem expensive? It would actually be cheaper than paying for the for the social services, healthcare, and other costs associated with the homelessness crisis. In fact, Utah's Housing First program has found it saves money by simply providing shelter.
Yeah, so again, these are pilot programs that have been tested in different areas that we know works. Okay? We know it works. We know it's cheaper. It's always better to just address the root of the problem. Okay? Instead of dancing around all this, we know that it's better to just address the root of the problem. That's why it's cheaper to have a universal single-payer system. That's why it's cheaper to just have housing first policies as we can deploy them city by city. That's why it's cheaper to deal with the climate crisis now rather than continue to let it go out of control. The problem is we have all the oligarchs in Washington. True.
Besides, the money's there. The U.S. spends several times more on tax breaks and benefits for high-end private developers, worth noting there, than it does on low-income housing. As of 2015, Chicago's City Housing Authority sat on a surplus of $379 million. What's lacking is the political will to treat housing as a right rather than a reward.
But with Trumpian policies, politics, the meanness is why they do it. I mean, yes, but also, let's be honest. The Democrats haven't really done much on this front either. Are there Democrats as a party platform running on housing first policies? Have you heard more mainstream Democratic candidates talk about housing first policies? Probably not a lot. In fact, I don't think I can think of one at the moment. My point being is that I don't think that it's just a unique. I don't think that Trumpian politics made the cruelty is the point. I get that's what you're trying to say, and yes, that's true. But I'm saying that it's not just the Republicans. Massachusetts does phenomenal. Phenomenal. We need that on a national and more mainstream platform. Phenomenal.
Reward. And last example here, Vienna. You can look up most livable city. Year after year after year after year, Vienna wins. Do you know what Vienna has? Vienna has the largest public housing program in the world. It is the most livable city. What more data do you need? So
You're making way too much sense and spouting too much logic and common sense. You may get the attention of Twitch overlord. I'm fine with that.
This is just, look, it's hard to just put the blame here on, just the mayor or just the cops or whatever it is. The real issue here is that as a society, we have seen housing as a luxury, as opposed to it simply being something that we should all.
Well, because it is in capitalism. Well, it's not a luxury, it's a commodity, right? In capitalism, almost everything, for all intents and purposes, is a commodity, including the roof on your head. Okay? That's the problem. You shouldn't commodify something like food, housing, healthcare. That's the problem. You cannot commodify things that you need. Like, you need food, you need housing, you need education, and you need healthcare. You can't say the P word in America, though. True. Public healthcare, public education, public housing. That's true. Landlords, and in particular, big corporate landlords too. Both can and are true. Housing is a commodity and provided based on need. Well, no, it's not based on need. But like the way I'm using commodity is like something that you can buy, like an item. Coffee, food, things like that. But these particular commodities are not, shouldn't be commodities, if that makes sense. And I just misread you, I'm sorry. Yes, housing should be provided based on need, because it is not something that you should, it's not something that should be based on how much you make, if that makes sense. I work for people that cannot get their own, acquire their own housing. It's provided to them. I work for people that cannot, on their own, acquire housing, yet it is provided to them. Maybe I misunderstood you. Anyways, the point being is the point being is that if you need housing, it shouldn't be based on whether or not you have money, in the same sense that you having food on your table shouldn't be based on whether or not you have this money. The same thing goes with healthcare. Having healthcare shouldn't be based on whether or not you have money. If that clarifies. I beg to differ. You can definitely commodify all these things. What I believe you meant is we shouldn't. Yeah, that's my argument. Yes. Yes. We should just, we shouldn't commodify basic necessities. It's not a basic sense of moral decency. Yes. Translation, there you go. That's my argument.
all have to be able to survive.
Based. All right. Having food on the table and being able to afford your medications. Yes. Like if you need insulin or you need medication for your MS or you need medication for seizure medication, you don't have a choice here. These aren't things that you choose. You need these things. You need insulin, and whatnot. Yeah, diabetes, exactly. This is not an option for you. You need that medication. Have you seen the crazy command of Israel's now? They've elected officials have power over the courts. That there's voter tampering and the courts cannot get involved. So Benjamin Netanyahu can now just declare himself the winner in all elections and doesn't have to appear in court if accused. No, is that true? That's wild. That's messed up. That's super messed up. That's super messed up. Anyways, point being is that, yeah, if you need something like insulin or any type of medication on a regular basis, then it shouldn't depend on whether or not you have money. The same goes for food and water. It shouldn't be like this is just like basic decency. That we should kind of operate as a society, but we don't. There's a reason for that. There are population groups who cannot work for various reasons and therefore cannot meet or other part of basic needs. Government programs to provide known basic needs, including housing. They often go through nonprofits paid for by. That's yeah, okay, but like, why does it have to be like non-profits? Like why isn't the government making programs to solve this issue? Why are they offering it like pushing it to like non-profits? Yeah, sure, it might be subsidized through tax revenue, but we shouldn't be even having this issue to begin with. And you're right. There are people who cannot work but still need housing. They're still humans. They're still human beings. They're still people. So my argument again is the same. You having food on the table, you having a house, a roof over your head, you having medication, these things should not depend on whether or not you have money. Period. There are reasons for pushing nonprofits. Capitalism disagrees with you? Well, I disagree with capitalism. But DTA for EBT said made too much money from SSDI. Said I made too much money from SSDI. Well, that's a problem with how you deploy that program. That shouldn't be a thing. How do you make too much money from SSDI? That's ridiculous. So that's not an issue with the other programs. That's an issue with how these are being deployed. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's not an issue with the concept of Social Security, disability, and EBT and whatever. It's the way they're being deployed. How can you say that you have a functioning safety net when you're literally pulling the rug from underneath of people who need this? Disabled people. SSDI is for disabled people. And to say that you make too much, you have too much, is ridiculous. EBT wanted me to have a $600 monthly bill to deplete my income. That's wild. That's wild. SSDI is based on employment history, on the number of work credits accumulated, specifically people who are working and then became disabled. Yes. Yes. And it's incredibly difficult to get, by the way. It's incredibly difficult to get. You can be in this process for months and months and months and months. I have a friend whose relatives are emigrating to Staten Island because of how Israel is literally turning into a one-party rule. That's scary. If that's true, that's scary what you were posting. Here, we'll like touch on this. Because I'm married, I might not get it because my husband makes too much money. $16 an hour? No. Like, that's fucking criminal, dude. That's fucking criminal. Ah, yes, I make $16 an hour. Ah, that's too much. Oh, you're married? Ha! Get screwed. Too bad. Israel passed a law to limit Supreme Court. First part of the wider plan to weaken the... Yeah, like, that's... we can stop right here. That's a massive red flag. That's a massive red flag. Monday's vote was on some controversial reasonableness bill, which will strip the Supreme Court of the power to block some government actions. So no ways of checks and balances. The whole point of a Supreme Court is to have some sort of arbitrary balancing system. If a government does something unconstitutional, whatever the system may be, if a government does something unlawful, you take it up to the highest court of the land. It may be called the Supreme Court or whatever you call it, depending on the system. You need something like that to be able to knock down laws that are bad. So if I had child support over 2 kids or a $600 bill, then I might get $150 for monthly for food. That's nothing. $150 a month for food? That's wild. That's nothing. There's now no higher authority, just the authority. That's some scary stuff. Yeah, that's scary stuff. All right, we're gonna try to fly by some of these headlines.
Standards? And how does Brazil's...
Whoa.
Has the world agreed on deep-sea mining standards? And how does Brazil's Amazon deforestation look since Lula took office? It's time for this week's Climate Recap. Hit the subscribe button below if you want to stay updated on the climate crisis and clean energy transition. Okay, we gotta talk about this wacky weather first. It's hot in most of the US right now. Phoenix, Arizona is one of the worst hit places, reaching 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43.3 degrees Celsius for 20 consecutive days. Death Valley in Central California reached 133 degrees Fahrenheit or 56 degrees Celsius on Monday. And the California wildfire season has...
I saw a meme where it's like, where I saw the picture of this. It was like, grinning dinosaurs take picture with comet. Grinning dinosaurs take picture with a comet.
Has started off in the southern part of the state. On the East Coast, Florida's humidity is off the hook due to the waters off Florida's coast being in the 90s, like hot tub temperatures. The heat index in Miami reached 100 degrees or higher for a record 38 consecutive days. Energy grids around the country are strained.
What? 38 days? Wow. Y'all need to go to put a comment on that vid or I'll bully you. I'll bully the chat, okay? Listen, leave the bullying to me. Alright, I got this. But seriously, go like and subscribe and comment.
And in some places like Arizona, if the power goes out, people will die. While this is happening, Canada's wildfires are continuing to smoke the northern U.S., and northeastern U.S. is flooding. 13 million people were under flood watches and warnings in Vermont and New York last week, prompting emergency rescues. Vermont called it the worst flooding in the state since Hurricane Irene in 2011. Meanwhile, New York saw 5 inches or 13 centimeters of rain drop in just 2 hours, which the state already estimates will cost it $50 million in damage. This week, parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut are experiencing deadly flooding too. As a reminder, climate change intensifies the water cycle because warmer air holds more moisture. That means more rain to drop during a storm, overwhelming infrastructure. More moisture also means more humidity, which makes the heat waves I mentioned earlier more deadly. The US isn't the only place experiencing flooding and heat waves. On the flooding side, parts of China, South Korea, Japan, and India are underwater. Here's some quick stats. A northeastern province of China saw 3.3 inches or 84 millimeters of rainfall in an hour. South Korea's flood death toll has reached at least 40 after 13 people drowned in a flooded tunnel. 4 Japanese islands saw heavy rainfall, with some areas hitting new records. And the Yamuna River in India reached such high levels, 680 feet, that it switched its path back to where it used to flow, reaching the Taj Mahal's outer walls. For all these Asian countries, it is monsoon season, but the amount of rain dropping in such short spans of time is not what the season used to look like. Agriculture operations in all of the extreme weather event locations I mentioned have basically been decimated. While all this is happening, other parts of China and European countries like Spain, Greece, and Italy are experiencing major heat waves. One rural Chinese town reached 126 degrees Fahrenheit or 52 degrees Celsius on Sunday. The Spanish island La Palma is battling a wildfire that burned 5,000 hectares, forcing the evacuation of 4,000 people. Did I miss any other extreme weather events? Let me know what you're experiencing in the comments below. I hope everyone is staying safe, dry, and cool. The international community has not come to a conclusion about deep-sea mineral extraction. Sounds like non-news, you might be thinking, so why am I talking about it? Well, even though the International Seabed Authority, or ISA, failed to reach a decision by the July 9th deadline, it will still now have to consider mining bids based on whatever existing draft is available. Right now, the small island nation Nauru is the main country looking to extract minerals important for the clean energy transition from the deep, but it hasn't officially sent a bid to the ISA yet. Actually, it's really the Nauru Ocean Resources Company, which is a Canadian company. Ironic because Canada has recently spoken out against deep-sea mining in international waters, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back it up a bit. What is the ISA and what are the factors the ISA needs to consider when it comes to deep-sea mining? The ISA is an international group made up of 167 member nations and the European Union. The US is actually not a member, but it sends representatives from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Interior Department, and the State Department to ISA meetings anyways. The ISA also has a secondary body with more than 40 scientific, legal, and environmental experts called the Legal and Technical Commission, or LTC.
Oh yeah, the Greek fires. That's my comment. That's what I'm gonna post. There we go. There we go. That's my comment. So I've liked and commented, all right?
When it comes to deep-sea mining operations, there's a lot to consider. Firstly, we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the deep ocean. We don't fully understand how those ecosystems down there are connected to the systems further up that our economies and populations rely on for oxygen, food, protection, medicine, tourism, etc. What we do know is that these mining operations could cause a ton of sediment disruption, which could kill off life around the sites. Mining is also very loud, disrupting communication for marine mammals that rely on echolocation. The minerals collected are also radioactive, so they could be dangerous for humans. And that's just what we know. So we'd be potentially causing all of this harm for minerals we might not even need based on land-based deposits available, especially if countries develop robust recycling systems. Because of all this, Chile, France, Palau, and Vanuatu have penned a letter to the ISA to have all mining applications banned until its rules are completed. Overall, 15 countries, including Canada, Fiji, and Switzerland, have called for no deep-sea mining in international waters at all. Last week, Democratic Representative Ed Case of Hawaii introduced the American Seabed Protection Act to impose a moratorium on deep-sea mining by American companies and require government agencies to study environmental impact.
Hopefully waking up Cthulhu.
Most environmental scientists and activists are also against deep-sea mining. So is anyone for these operations? Unsurprisingly, private corporations.
Wow, surprised. I was gonna say, like, companies obviously trying to exploit resources for profit. Oh, French toast? Oh, man.
and China, Russia, Norway, and Nauru. And while I said ISA hasn't approved any extraction permits, it has already approved 31 exploration permits. So that's where we're at with this. The ISA and U.S. representatives are meeting right now in Jamaica to discuss what should be done now that the deadline was missed. The CEO of the Nauru Ocean Resources Company said he plans not to send a bid until plans are finalized. What do you think of deep sea mining? Let me know.
We don't know, and it sounds like a bad deal. So no thanks. Yeah, come on over after. Haha. I'll hop on the next flight, okay?
If you want to learn more about it, Dave from Just Have a Think did a video on that topic a few weeks ago that I'll link up to in the cards. Prefer to get this news in bite-sized pieces? Follow me on Instagram and TikTok for short videos of climate news. That's the Climate Recap on Instagram and Beckosphere on TikTok. All the links will be down in the description below.
Expensive and unnecessary, true.
The news. The international community recently came to an agreement that shipping emissions should reach net zero at or around 2050. Global shipping, which carries about 90% of commercial goods, accounts for about 3% of global emissions. So this sector must reduce emissions by 30% by 2030 and 80% by 2040. Most rich countries and island nations wanted the plan to be more ambitious than that, but China, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and a few other countries resisted. Environmental groups say at this rate, the shipping industry will exhaust its emissions allotment by 2032 if the goal is to keep warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. As a reminder, we're currently at about 1.
Yeah, so that's not happening. That's not happening. I mean, like, we can pretty much, like, understand that, like, the 1.5 thing is not, it's not a thing. We're gonna go way past it. Or at least, at the very least, like, we're on track to already, like, passing that, so there's no point other than to continue to try to slow down the damage that comes, that keeps getting accumulated at the back end. In other words, if we don't take any type of action, it's just going to compound and get worse. The longer this goes, the worse it's going to get.
1.2 degrees Celsius of warming. In the U.S., the nation's largest trucking companies, including Ford, General Motors, Daimler, and Cummins, and the industry group Truck and Engine Manufacturing Association, agreed to accept California's plan to ban the sale of new diesel big rigs by 2036. By making this deal, the ban avoids any litigation that would have been brought against a formal national mandate. The coalition of companies that agreed call themselves the Clean Truck Partnership, and this partnership has been in the works for the last 3 months with the California Clean Air Board. Not only will this reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it will also reduce fine particle pollution that causes asthma and other respiratory problems that can lead to premature death. This air pollution disproportionately impacts people of color, which have been historically situated next to trucking paths. Trucking companies will now look to electrify their trucking fleets or use hydrogen fuel cell technology. We have 2 news stories out of Brazil to finish off this week's recap. The first is that Brazil's President Lula met with Colombia's President Petro to pledge to protect the Amazon rainforest, an essential ecosystem to maintain a stable climate. Brazil and Colombia are part of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization, which started in 1978 by Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Peru, Suriname, and Venezuela. Even though this group has been around for a while, the goal of preserving the Amazon has not always been prioritized or enforced by these countries. This meeting between the 2 new progressive leaders was meant to move the initiative along faster. Lula and Petro were both elected into office last year, having made fighting climate change and helping the Amazon a big part of their campaign promises. Both want to hold rich countries accountable for funding Amazon preservation. Lula wants to halt illegal deforestation in the Amazon by 2030, which brings me into the next news story. Deforestation in Brazil's Amazon dropped by 34% in the first half of 2023, according to preliminary government data, reaching its lowest point in 4 years. Granted, it still saw enough forest cleared to take up New York City 3 times over, but this problem is very tricky, with some of Brazil's government rather choosing profits over conservation. Most deforestation is done in the name of cattle ranching. Despite the opposition, Lula has successfully ramped up environmental enforcement, which has likely resulted in this deforestation decline. The true test has now begun, though, as most of the illegally started forest fires used to clear land tends to take place from July to September. We'll have to wait and see what the second half of 2023 looks like. And that was your climate recap for this week. For more news, check out my source list below in the description. If you found this information useful, please like and share this video so more people can see it.
Based. Hello, my friends. Hello, ADT. Welcome. Base video. I also put a comment. Nice. Oh yeah. By the way, it's the Chud Spud. He's okay. He's an alt account for It's the Morton. So just never mind them. They're alright. They're alright. House Republicans' Choice Act would roll back Obamacare protections. Forget the repeal and replace the oft-repeated Republican rally cry against the Affordable Care Act. House Republicans have advanced a package of bills that could reduce health insurance costs for certain businesses and consumers, partly by rolling back some consumer protections. Of course! That's how they're going to do it. Rather than outright appeal, however, the subtler effort could allow more employers to bypass the landmark health insurance overhaul's basic benefit requirements and most state standards. At the same time, the Biden administration seeks to undo some of the previous administration's health insurance rules, proposing to retighten regulations for short-term plans. Health policy experts aren't surprised most of the GOP policy ideas of long-drawn Republican support have raised concern for some Democrats about reducing consumer protections that could fall under the theme, everything old is new again. Ultimately, the proposal hinges on one issue, says Joseph Antos, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, a Washington, D.C. think tank. The real problem is the rising cost of healthcare, always has been, and the problem is, he's added, that there is larger than the potential solutions. No, it's not. What? What are you on about? Yes. The the problem is the rising cost of healthcare, and the problem is larger than the potential solutions. A universal healthcare plan would solve this. What are you talking about? If you know that the plan is rising healthcare costs, the immediate question is, well, why? It's because we have a for-profit system. It's because we have a for-profit system. Do you think like the rising cost of healthcare like magically is equating to like some better healthcare outcomes or better healthcare? No, it's not. Because you need healthcare. This is not a negotiable thing. If you get sick or if you get hurt, you don't really have a choice in the sense of like you have to go to the doctor. They don't want to repeal Obamacare. They just want to pick at it until it becomes a truly end-stage capitalistic medical nightmare and then endlessly pointing at saying, look how bad it is, right? Just accept it, AT. Don't question. Obey! True. It's not that, it's not clear that this kind of approach would substantially help very many people. So then what do you propose to do about it? Boo AIE. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is some kind of like, conservative think tank. American Enterprise Institute? Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's basically like American Enterprise Institute. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is like some like pro business think tank. AI was created in the 1930s to roll back the New Deal. Gotcha. Yeah, just like skimming through what I read, it's like a really pro business conservative think tank. So yeah, that makes perfect sense as to that's its origins, to roll back the New Deal. Yeah. While the Biden administration proposed regulations on short-term plans are likely to take effect either this year or the next, GOP's House passed legislation dubbed the Choice Arrangement Act is unlikely to win favor in the Democratic-controlled Senate. If Republicans were to retake the Senate and the White House, though, it illustrates the health policy direction they could take. This is what I mean when I say that whenever Republicans win power, it's a bad deal. Never fails. There are broad issues on the radar. These type of plans have been sold for decades, often a stopgap measure for people between jobs. They can be far less expensive than more traditional coverage because short-term plans run the gamut from comprehensive policies to fairly minimal policies. This is so gross. Oh, this is so gross. The plan doesn't have to cover all the benefits required by the ACA, for example, and can bar coverage for pre-existing medical conditions, can set annual or lifetime limits, and often don't include maternity care or prescription drugs. Despite notice warnings on plan limitations, consumers may not realize what's covered until they try to use it. That's fucked up. Like the idea that we even have, or we're even talking about this, is messed up. Like, you're not talking about, like, somebody's car, okay? You're not talking about somebody's laptop that had a plan, a warranty plan, or an insurance plan. You're not talking about somebody's, like a tractor plan or whatever. You're talking about people's lives. Yeah, okay, dude. 'Tis a bot. Concerned that people would choose this option instead of more comprehensive and more expensive insurance offered through the ACA, which is President Obama's administration set rules limiting the policy terms to 3 months. President Trump's administration loosened these rules, allowing plans again to be sold as 364-day policies and adding the ability for users to renew them for up to 3 years. President Biden, whose representatives have called such plans junk insurance, which they are, but like health insurance by nature is junk insurance. It shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't be having this discussion in the first place. The entire health insurance industry is junk insurance. It shouldn't be. Proposes reining in those again, restricting policies to at most 4 months. The Biden proposal cites estimates from the CBO and Joint Commission on Taxation that about 1.5 million people are enrolled in such plans. Michael Cannon, Director of Health Policy Studies in the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, decried the proposal rule in an opinion piece. He wrote that that the Biden proposal removes an important lower-cost alternative and could leave some consumers facing sky-high medical bills for up to 1 year if their policies expire between the open enrollment periods. Okay, so then why the fuck are health insurance plans even a thing? Okay? All of this would be cheaper. Nobody would have to be worrying about this if we just made a universal single-payer system. The real fight comes down to defining short term, says John McDonough, a professor of public health practice at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health in Boston, worked in the original ACA legislation. Gotta bail up so I can beat up another streamer. Progressives and Democrats support the view that the short term should end after 4 months and people go into an ACA plan or Medicaid. He says Republicans and conservatives would like this to be an alternative permanent coverage for model for folks who legitimately know what they're getting in and are willing to roll the dice. Meanwhile, the House passed Choice Arrangement Act would allow more self-employed people and businesses to band together to buy association health plans, which are essentially large group plans purchased by multiple employers. These can be less expensive because they don't have to meet all the ACA requirements, such as covering a specific set of benefits that include hospitalization, prescription drugs, and mental health care. Historically, some... Wow, whatever. Historically, some have also have had solvency issues, and state regulators have investigated claims of false advertising by some association plans. Another piece of legislation would help more small employers self-insure, which allows them to bypass many ACA requirements and most state insurance rules. Both proposals represent chipping away at the foundation edges of the ACA structure. The package also codifies Trump's era's regulations, allowing employers to provide workers with tax-free contributions to shop for their own ACA pre-qualified plan, a benefit known as individual coverage health reimbursement account. The Choice Arrangement Act will go a long way to reducing insurance costs for employers. Yeah, okay. So again, we shouldn't be discussing this. Why are we talking about health insurance costs to employers? Like, why are we letting employers dictate and have the ball in their court when it comes to insurance? Like, all of this shouldn't even be a conversation. The Choice Arrangement Act will go a long way to reduce insurance costs for employers, ensuring that workers continue to have access to high-quality, affordable health care. They currently don't, though. But whatever, said Republican Tom Cole in prepared remarks as the bill went before House committee rules in June. Two of the ideas, association and self-insured proposal, have drawn opposition from the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, which wrote to House leaders that the package threatens the authority of states to protect consumers and markets because it affects the ability of states to regulate such plans. Current law allows businesses in the same industry to band together to buy coverage, essentially creating a larger pool that then can theoretically wield more negotiating clout and get better rates. Or the biggest pool, the country. How about that? How about that for a pool? Make it the whole country. The House legislation would make changes to allow more self-employed people and businesses that aren't in the same industry to do the same. The big picture of what these bills do is allow employers and insurance companies to get out from under the ACA standards and protections and offer cheaper insurance to younger and healthier employee groups, said Sabrina Corletti, researcher and co-director, Center for Health Insurance Reforms at Georgetown University. But attorney Christopher Condalucci, who works with GOP lawmakers in drafting the legislation, takes a different view. The entire GOP package, he says, represents improvements to the status quo that are needed because small business and individuals are confronted with health costs continuing to rise and out-of-pocket costs. Okay, but why, though? This is because it's a for-profit system. It's designed to generate profit, okay? The standard of care isn't increasing to justify the health costs. They're just price gouging. That's it. They're price gouging because they can. You don't have a choice. You need health care. Universal health care now. Yes. A universal healthcare system is a single payer system would solve the issues that they're complaining about. Healthcare in this economy? Oh yeah, I need a full-time job that offers it because if not, then I die. Right, and then you have to stay at that job whether you like it or not, because guess what? You need healthcare. The system's fucked. Alabama lawmakers refused to create a second majority black congressional district. Alabama on Friday refused to create a second majority black congressional district, a move that could defy a recent order from the Supreme Court to give minority voters a greater voice and trigger a renewed battle over the state's political map. Hey, so if Alabama can say, like, we're not gonna abide by the Supreme Court's decision, then why doesn't, like, here's a question. If Alabama can do this, and since it's being so openly done, why not Biden say, you know what? I disagree with your student loan decision. Since we're not respecting the Supreme Court here, because I don't know, you want to like play this game, then like we're not going to listen to you when it comes to like the student loan relief. Lawmakers in the Republican-dominated House and Senate instead passed a plan that would increase percentage of black voters from 31 to 40 in the state's second district. The map was a compromise between plans that had percentages of 42 to 38 for the Southeast Alabama district, and Governor KIV quickly signed it. State lawmakers have faced a deadline to adopt new district lines after the Supreme Court in June upheld the 3-panel judge's finding that the current state map with one majority black district out of 7 in a state that is 27% black is likely violates the Federal Voting Rights Act. And this is the same Federal Voting Rights Act that Republicans are trying to get rid of too. Voting rights advocates said, and black lawmakers said the plan invoked the state's Jim Crow history of treating black voters unfairly. The U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder chaired the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, said the map and the Republican politicians who support it would make George Wallace proud, according to referring to the segregationist former Alabama governor. It arrogantly defies a very conservative Supreme Court decision from just weeks ago. Right, which is like super freaking surprising. Republicans argue that their proposal complies with the directive to create a second district where black voters could influence the outcome of congressional elections. Opponents said it flouted a directive from the panel to create a second majority district or something quite close to it so that black voters have an opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. The 140-seat Alabama legislature has 33 black lawmakers, all but one are Democrats. There's no opportunity for anybody other than a white Republican to win that district. It will never, ever elect a Democrat. They won't elect the black, they won't elect the minority, said Senator Roger Smitherman, a Democrat from Birmingham. Republicans have been reluctant to create a Democratic-leading district and are engaging in high-stakes wagers that the panel will accept the proposal or that the state will prevail in the second round of appeals. Republicans argue that the map meets the court's directive and draws compact districts that comply with the redistricting guidelines. If you think that's about where we are, the Supreme Court ruling was 5-4, so there's one judge that needed to see something different. And I think the movement that we have and what we've come to compromise on today gives us a good shot. This, Republican Senate President Pro Tem Greg Reed said he believed the changes to okay, so yeah, whatever. The point being is that like, the point of this article is to like basically say like, hey, if the Supreme Court can be ignored, and especially in a case that's so important, like voting rights, then like, or redistricting, because that has an impact on how national politics plays out, then why the fuck aren't we getting up and saying, hey, you know what about this decision? You know what? We actually don't agree with your Roe v. Wade decision, so we're just gonna elect to ignore it. I mean, since the other side is just ignoring Supreme Court rulings. This is dirty politics? Yeah, 100%. So I would argue, or I would posit, that that the other side, that we do the same. All right. We're going to fly through this one. Senate committee advances a Supreme Court ethics bill after alleged justice misconduct. The Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday for the first time voted to advance legislation that would require U.S. Supreme Court to adopt a binding code of ethics to adhere to more stringent disclosure requirements and explain recusal decisions to the public. Nice. The vote was 11-10 along party lines. Of course, all Democrats in support and all Republicans opposed. Of course, because it's their court. The bill's Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal, and Transparency Act is now clear for a full Senate vote. We are here because the highest court in the land has the lowest standards for ethics anywhere in the federal government, which is absurd. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who sponsored the measure. A move follows a wave of new reports that Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito failed to disclose ties to wealthy businessmen and political donors, including acceptance of luxury travel and accommodations at that Justice Sotomayor used taxpayer-funded court staff to help sell her books. What? Oh man, this Supreme Court is just wild. Alito personally defended himself, arguing in a rare op-ed published in the Wall Street Journal that he acted appropriately. In Thomas's case, he maintained that he thought that he didn't have to disclose those ties, while in Sotomayor's case, the court said that she and others had been urged to follow proper protocols. So she knows that was wrong, but okay, whatever. This is a bill not designed to make the court stronger, this is a bill not designed to make the court stronger, more ethical, but to destroy a conservative court, said Lindsey Graham. How? By giving them ethics? Oh, I get it. Ha. Thank you, Lindsey Graham. Hey, listen, he's telling you what Republicans are about. Listen up, folks. He's telling you. So basically what Lindsey Graham is telling you is that being ethical is antithetical to conservatism. For you to be held to ethics and standards is antithetical to being conservative, to conservatism. Oh, damn. Thank you, Lindsey Graham. Thank you. Thank you. Damn, like Lindsey Graham really telling us, really giving away the game here, right? This is as unambiguous as possible, because that's the translation here. That is what he's saying. This is a bill not designed to make the court a stronger or more ethical, but to destroy a conservative court. A bill to actually put forth ethics and a code of conduct would destroy a conservative court. Translation, conservatism is diametrically opposed to ethics. Oh man, this is oof. Quite a gift he's given us here. Really saying the quiet part out loud. Really putting things into perspective here, Senator Graham. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Quote, it is a bill to rearrange the makeup of how the court governs itself. No, they're not rearranging anything. There isn't anything to rearrange. The Supreme Court doesn't have ethics, an ethical standard, or code, an ethical code of conduct, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have any. They are not bound by any ethics whatsoever, unlike the rest of the federal judiciary. So there's nothing to rearrange here. The bill would mandate greater oversight of the justices, bind them to the same disclosure rules for gifts, travel, income, and as applied to lower court judges, create a system to investigate complaints about their behavior. This is what destroys conservatism, folks, according to Lindsey Graham. So making sure that there's transparency with regards to gifts, travel, and any income, which is the same standards that are being applied to the lower court judges. So that's what's destroying the conservative court. Being held to fucking standards. Translation, conservatives and ethics, they just are diametrically opposed. They just antithetical to each other. It would also boost transparency and around the process by which justices determine potential conflicts of interest with parties before the court and require them to explain recusal decisions, which are now entirely at their discretion. Man, like... in a rare joint statement, all 9 justices said they voluntarily adhere to ethics principles and practices and opposed to the push for independent oversight. Nah, get fucked. We don't, the whole honor system, is bullshit, okay? Because clearly, you are not adhering to any sort of ethics or principles at all. Quote, I want to assure people that I am continuing to making certain that we as a court adhere to the higher standard of conduct, said Justice Roberts. But you don't, though, because shit keeps happening. Okay? But you don't. And you continue to try to but don't worry, I got it. Like, don't, whatever you do, don't put ethic rules on us. Don't put any rules on us, okay? I got it. We'll police, self-regulate. Nah. Clearly, you're not capable of doing it. He's an absolute clown. Yes, he is. Said in May during his first public remarks since the COVID pandemic. Roberts declined an invitation to testify before the Judiciary Committee, which If you were doing nothing wrong, then this shouldn't be a problem, but whatever. To answer questions about the court's ethics, process, and lawmakers' proposal for an overhaul citing separation of power concerns, the justices are already subject to a federal disclosure law applying to all federal employees that require them to file an annual report, a public report on outside incomes and gifts, but personal hospitality is generally exempt. If I or any other member of Senate failed to report an all expenses paid luxury getaway, or if we use our government staff to help sell books, we'd be in big trouble. Which you did. Both of these things. Like, your justices in the court, in the current court, did both of these things. What are you talking about? The justices in your court did both of these things. What? The same would be true for members of House or cabinet officials in any presidential administration, said Durbin. I'm assuming Dick Durbin. But the same, sadly, is not true for the 9 justices across the street. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread this. Durbin is correct here. I'm sorry, I misread this. Durbin is correct. So there is no transparency whatsoever. Congress technically has more ethics codes. No, I just misread it. Dick Durbin is correct. He's saying that the 9 justices don't have to adhere to these standards. And the fact that, like, we have Republicans complaining that that Democrats are trying to put certain freaking guardrails in place by creating some kind of, like, code of ethics. The fact that they're characterizing this as a way to destroy this conservative court is really fucking telling. The justices argued in their joint statement in May that proposals to force members of the court to recuse themselves under specified circumstances, publicly elaborate on the recusal process, and subject their decisions to review could create more harm than good. More transparency is more harmful? No. In the full court or any subset of the court were to review the recusal decisions of individual justices, they wrote, it created an undesirable situation in which the court could affect the outcome of a case by selecting who among its members may participate. But you should be doing this anyways. If there's a conflict of interest, why is that justice there? The only undesirable situation is that there's more transparency. That's the undesirable situation that they're talking about. Harmful to nefarious activities, correct. Later, they added that a public disclosure of the basis for recusal could encourage strategic behavior by lawyers who may seek to prompt recusals in future cases. You can't do that unless there's a conflict of interest. The whole point of having the whole point of recusing yourself from a case, period, full stop, is because you have a conflict of interest. Say, your wife is involved, maybe. Just saying. So yeah, if you have a case where your wife may be potentially involved, it doesn't matter how many of those cases come before you. You shouldn't be handling those cases. Period. Many conservative lawmakers and legal scholars point out that justices have already faced the prospect of discipline for misbehavior, quote, impeachment. Nah. Sorry, that's not good enough. It remains the only constitutionally authorized mechanism for removing a life-appointed justice accused of wrongdoing. And many veteran court watchers note that that few of the recently surfaced ethics allegations likely rise to that level. Justice Harlan Crow, true. Trump, SCOTUS, and MAGA GOP want special treatment, as in no accountability. Yeah, that's the whole point. Exactly correct. They don't want any type of accountability. They do not want transparency. They do not want to be questioned, for they are the 9 law wizards. Okay? They are the 9 black-robed law wizards. Okay? Do not question them. And they should not be held to any standards. I think it's a co-equal branch of government we don't have jurisdiction over. Secondly, I think it's a part of a false narrative that the court is out of control and needs Congress to save it. Senator Corn of Texas, a Republican member of the Judiciary Committee, told Associated Press. The problem is, it is out of control. If you have justices taking like all kinds of luxury, all expenses paid resorts, and it just happens to be that the guy who's paying for all this is like a massive Republican donor who also just again happens to also get this particular justice in touch with other prominent conservative like figures, and then like you can't tell me that some of those cases might not come up at some point, especially with the like wealthy and powerful people that this dude meets. I mean, like, seriously? There's nothing wrong with this picture? It's not about Congress saving it either. It's not about Congress saving it. It's just holding the court to the same standard that the rest of the federal judiciary is. Yeah, every single year too. Every single year, my man Clarence Thomas, has been getting all expenses, luxury vacations. Who also just again happens to have very prominent Republican donors, and all of it's being funded by a very prominent and very wealthy Republican donor. I mean, oh man. If SCOTUS cures cancer, then luxury vacays. Well, they have to do it properly. Many Republicans have viewed the court reform proposals as a partisan attempt to delegitimize the court. The court's already done that itself. The court has already done that itself. If the legislation is scheduled for a full Senate vote, it would need some Republican support to pass, given Democrats only hold the chamber with 51 votes. This just in, Obama chef found dead near Martha's Vineyards? Is that true? Oh, shoot. He passed away in a paddleboarding incident. Yeah, he passed away in a paddleboard incident, I guess. Wow. The Republican-led House has shown no interest in taking up the issue, rendering the enactment of any Supreme Court ethics legislation unlikely in this Congress. This bill is going nowhere, said Graham. Yeah, well, you can already tell with his previous quote what he's really saying. Yeah, so basically, Republicans, conservatives, basically, are antithetical to ethics and having any standard of conduct whatsoever. I mean, don't take it from me. It's literally what Lindsey Graham is saying. I mean, I don't know if this is even like worth going over. So to give you the TLDR, McCarthy basically allegedly held a vote or promised to hold the vote to clear Trump of impeachments. But he has walked that back. So I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if they're playing this kind of game. We'll see if any of that ends up being true. But yeah, that's the TLDR on that one. All right, folks. I don't have that much time, so we're gonna have to like go over this story. This one's a bit of a rough one. So content warning, trigger warning, TLDR. This is gonna be really. It's gonna be one of those stories. So yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty bad story. So you've been warned. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Black man mauled by police canine after Ohio pursuit. A police dog mauled a black man in Ohio during a 4th of July traffic stop after he surrendered to authorities with his hands raised in the following a lengthy pursuit. A motor carrier enforcement inspector with the Ohio State Patrol tried to stop Jadarius Rose, who was driving a semi-tractor trailer because it was missing a left rear mud flap. Rose was traveling westbound, failed to stop. And the troopers who were called in for help. Before the troopers deployed tire deflating devices called the stop sticks. Before it came to a stop, Rose told the trooper who was instructing him to get out of the vehicle that he was on the phone with 911. After several times of being ordered to exit the vehicle, the suspect exited the vehicle from the driver's side door. The driver was given orders to to get on the ground, and the subject would not comply. Yeah, I don't trust whatever the fuck the cops say. Sorry. Rose can be seen on the video released by Highway Patrol standing in front of the troopers with hands in the air. How's that not complying? A Circleville police officer who has a dog can be heard yelling, telling Rose to go on the ground or you're gonna get bit, which is fucked up. But okay. Meanwhile, the trooper with the Highway Patrol tells Rose to come to me. Wait. So you have one trooper with the dog saying, get on the ground or I'm going to release this dog to maul the shit out of you. The other trooper is telling him to move to him. These are completely conflicting commands. It is then that the Circleville police officer, identified as R. Speakman, deploys his canine. Quote, do not release the dog with his hands up. A trooper can be heard yelling multiple times before this fucking asshole releases the dog. The video shows the dog running towards Rhodes, who comes to his knees as Speakman releases the dog. The video shows the dog biting and pulling by his arm as he screams loudly. I mean, like, you want to see, like, the image that tells it all? You want to see the image that tells it all? Look at her face. Yeah, it's extremely horrible. A lawsuit time? I hope not only, like, that these fuckers get fired, not only all these fuckers who were involved, who couldn't fucking perform this shit, who were literally calling out contradicting orders. Like, one was saying stay on the ground and one was saying come to me. And like they were yelling, saying that do not release the dog several times. They were screaming several times, do not release the dog while they have their hands up. So yeah, sadistic pieces of shit. All of them. Fuck them. They should all be fired. And the person who released the dog should be charged. I mean, this picture tells it all. She knows. She knows. This picture tells it all. This picture tells me everything I need to know right here. of just how fucking horrible that incident must have been. They're violent psychopaths just waiting for the opportunity. Yeah, and even when screaming several times, do not release the dog. Rose was eventually taken into custody. Troopers immediately provided first aid and contacted EMS to respond. Rose was charged with failure to comply with an order or signal a police officer, 4th-degree felony, and now faces 6 to 18 months in prison. He was arraigned the next day and posted bond on July 7th. The Circleville K-9 unit was involved in the July 4 incident following an aid request from the Highway Patrol, according to a statement from Circleville Mayor Don McElroy and Police Chief Sean Bayer. In compliance with the Circleville Police Department Use of Force Review Board convened immediately and is reviewing this incident. In compliance with our police department, we will review this and we will, handle this ourselves. The finding of the Use of Force Review Board will be provided. It's not clear whether the officer responsible for directing the dog to attack will face any disciplinary action. That's fucked up. And yet no federal police reform. Nope. Huge deep sigh at terrible management by the cops. Yeah, but like it keeps happening. Like, at what point is it terrible management? And at what point do we say like, okay, these people are just like doing this shit. Like they're being trained to do this shit. The Highway Patrol clarified that the K-9 involved in the unit is from the Circleville Police Department and not the Ohio State Patrol. I don't give a fuck. Highway Patrol Sergeant Purpura said in a statement, the case remains under investigation and the patrol's unable to provide any further details. No, I think we got the fucking all the details we need right here. I mean, like, look at her fucking face. She knows. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I don't give a fuck. The guy ran. Okay, you stopped him. He had his fucking hands up. And then you fucking sick the dog on him? Could be incompetence, not sadism, but there's enough accountability. Like, yeah, I mean, like, sure, maybe, in some cases, but like at one point, do these incidents keep happening? That we just chalk it up to like incompetence. Because like, yeah, obviously there's going to be levels and incidents of incompetence, but like it keeps happening is my argument. You didn't hear the guy scream like I'm just trying to get like I'm just trying to understand. You didn't hear the other trooper yell, "Do not release the dog," several times? If they can't handle dogs, then they shouldn't have the dogs. Yeah, and like the thing is, the dog isn't gonna let go, and sometimes it doesn't even let go when it's supposed to let go. And also, it's a fucking dog, and it's not a small dog. I don't know if you've seen those canines, canine unit, German Shepherds. They'll fuck you up when they're being nice. They'll fuck you up when they're doing what they're told. Yeah, it's a dog that they turned into a weapon. Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, that person should be charged. That officer should be charged. Those guys are highly trained, supposedly. It's exactly. Yeah, exactly. So in other words, at what point do we say that this is just incompetence? At what point do we like, oh, well, fuck all of these fucking cops. All of them should be out. Yes. I agree. Absolutely horrible. It's also fucked up, like, that's what they train the dogs to do. Police always let me get away with shit due to incompetence. Someone is gonna say, I only heard release the dog. It's on camera. It's on camera. They can try to lie about it on the police report, but it's on camera. That's where these quotes are coming from the footage, the dash cam and the what's it called? Dash cam and the vest camera. I wish cops were not trained to kill and maim people without weapons. Maybe a fundamental rethinking of the institution of the police needs to be in order. From top to bottom. A fundamental, complete, and utter restructuring of the police. From top to bottom. Cops are trained to see everybody as a threat instead of the people they're theoretically supposed to protect. Correct. Correct. And it's not an exaggeration. It's literally what they're trained to do. I've shown that video of their training program. In Utah, I believe. That's exactly what they're trained to do. That's exactly what they're trained to do. Perhaps they could protect and serve. Nah, they don't have to. At all, actually. Constitution says so. Or, sorry, the Supreme Court said so. Numerous times. They actually don't have to protect you or serve you in any way, shape, or form. So it begs the question. What are they there for? Don't they go to Israel and train with the military there? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Why? How much money does that cost? No, not just this Supreme Court. But this has been like a thing for a while. They have made several rulings on this. Not this current Supreme Court. But others. Obama, yes. All right, folks, it's almost 8 o'clock. I gotta get going, and I'm starving. Folks, if you enjoyed the content and want to help support the channel but can't monetarily, make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you hit the YouTubes, the big red subscribe button on the YouTubes. It really does help us out. There's 246 of you that have already done so I appreciate that. French toast is almost done. All right, well, I'm on my way then. Perfect timing. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. Spread the word. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, we'll see. Oh, thanks for the stream. Thank you for hanging out, Bromedias. But July 26th is a birthday stream. So it might be a short stream, but we'll hang out at least for a little bit. So make sure you're there Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bon appetit. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for keeping the peace in the chat. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. See ya. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.